Hey guys, I'm Karan Binani from MobiScrub and we're reviewing the Samsung Galaxy A7, the 2017 edition. They've also launched the Galaxy A5 and I'll be reviewing that shortly too. The A7 comes with a 5.7-inch Full HD Super AMOLED display, an Octa-core processor, 3GB of RAM, fingerprint sensor, and a massive 3600 mAh battery. And it's water and dust resistant, which I believe is amazing considering it's only coming in the flagship devices, but Samsung is now bringing it to its mid-range smartphones as well. So, well, this looks great. It in fact reminds me of the Galaxy S7 if nothing else. Now you've got your standard earphones, a fast charger, considering you'd want the 3600 mAh battery to be charged fairly quickly. And you've got a USB Type-C data cable, which is now going to be a standard USB type that Samsung is going to provide with all its new devices. And there's also an adapter that we'll talk about shortly. The A7 looks fantastic. It's got an aluminum frame, Gorilla Glass 4 protection on the screen, and a beautiful black color, something quite unique in fact. You can actually mistake it quite easily for the Samsung Galaxy S7 flagship. And then you've got your standard buttons and a fingerprint sensor. As flat as the front might be, the back is softly sloping and you can see the effect of the materials as the light bounces off. Now, while the front is completely glass, the back does feel a premium quality plastic or plastic glass combo. And the black sky color looks gorgeous. However, it might be a little more prone to dust and fingerprints, which are going to be fairly visible. The Galaxy A7 is powered by a 64-bit octa-core processor, 3GB of RAM, internal memory of 32GB with 22GB being user available. The A7 is a dual SIM device and supports expandable memory of up to 256GB using a microSD card that you can insert into one of these slots. The best part from a hardware perspective, I believe, is the battery. 3600 mAh, which is sure to last you through the day with an extremely active usage. To charge or transfer data, you have a USB Type-C port, and hence a standard micro USB wire won't work, but with this adapter that you get in the box, you can pretty much attach any micro USB wire. Now that's the Galaxy A7 always on display that you see when the device is locked. It shows the time and you can also show whatever notifications that you'd want on your phone. This really helps because the A7 does not have a notification LED, but with this always on display, you'll know exactly what notifications are there. One thing that instantly stands out is the speaker grill that has been placed right above the power key, and that's great because it's really better for video viewing, especially when you're holding the device in landscape mode. These aren't stereo speakers, but then none of the Samsung devices have that anyway. At the back you have a 16-megapixel camera with LED flash and an f-stop of 1.9 capable of shooting Full HD videos, while in the front you have a 16-megapixel camera, again with the capability of recording Full HD videos. From an ergonomic standpoint, the device is indeed a phablet. It's not as easy to operate using just one hand, although it's not impossible. It weighs about 189 grams, which is quite a bit, but that's just because it has a massive battery, and that is much more important to have than a few extra grams. And I truly believe that the device is appropriately thick. It's just about 7.9 millimeters, which is actually quite perfect to have a pleasant grip on the device. The entire unit is a single piece with no access to battery or anything else inside. It is IP68 certified, so it is water resistant and dust resistant. Now let's also quickly compare it to the Galaxy A5, the 2017 edition. So that's a 5.2-inch display versus the 5.7-inch on the A7. The A5 is lighter. It's about 157 grams, whereas the A7 is slightly more heavier because of a bigger battery. The A5 has a 3000 mAh battery, whereas the A7 has a 3600. But when compared to the C9 Pro, it's a completely different story. The C9 Pro has a 6-inch display. It's got a 4000 mAh battery. It's definitely wider. It's got a metal back, and it's got 6GB RAM. So the C9 Pro is definitely a step ahead when it comes to performance, as well as viewing experience as compared to the A7. Now, on the software side of things, the always-on display shows up the lock screen. You can swipe to unlock, or you can set up fingerprints to unlock more safely. You've got shortcuts to phone dialer and a camera that can directly take you to those apps, since those are quite widely used. And the fingerprint sensor is fairly quick, as you can see. So here you go, you've got a 5.7-inch Super AMOLED display. So that's 5.7 inch, Full HD resolution, which is 1080 pixels by 1920 pixels. And it's actually quite sharp. It's well detailed and the screen really pops the colors. It's Super AMOLED, guys. The good thing is Samsung does not bloat your smartphone with much of its own software. It does give you some of the basics like radio, smart secure folder, Opera Max browser, and then a couple of nifty apps like voice recorder, S-Health, a really awesome email client of its own, and then you have the entire suite of Google apps, including Google Photos, and some important Microsoft apps like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, and Skype. You've also got Samsung Pay, which is probably the most talked about introduction with the release of the A7 and the A5, and we'll talk more about it in the video ahead. Now, there are some other apps like Samsung Notes that really help you get together your notes and help you keep them organized. You can use them to create lists, notes, or handwritings. The new Grace UI is really fresh, and it adds subtle animations and effects that truly enhance user experience, and the way it looks and feels is really good. You can even see that the notification panel with all the setting toggles is also brand new in the way it looks and works. You don't have to get into settings screen to change things anymore. The A7 gives you immediate actions with the notification panel. Whether it's Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, power saving, you can just tap on the arrow and it will show you the options pertaining to that setting and allow you to select it there and then. Even if you go into the settings page, you would see a fresh settings menu with very minimal design and pleasant colorful icons. The 3GB RAM and the octa-core processor work really well together to deliver a fast and seamless user experience. Whether it's opening and closing apps, or it's multitasking, or it's moving from one app to the other, all of that is really quick. You can see in the video here that the A7 performance is quite snappy, and that's pretty awesome. You can also create multitasking windows. Thanks to the large 5.7-inch display, you can work on two of them together, one below the other, that is. And you can even make a bubble out of an application to launch it anytime, anywhere. So for example, I've got the SMS icon right here, or it could be a WhatsApp icon if that's something that you use very frequently. The highlight really is that this is one of the first smartphones to be sold for the first time with Samsung Pay preloaded. It is definitely one of the best innovations Samsung has ever come up with. It's really the most convenient way to use your credit cards without actually carrying them ever with yourself. I went to refuel my car, and at the gas station, the staff presented the credit card swiping machine to me. All I had to do was tap my phone with the credit card selected. The machine would ask for the amount, which the staff entered, and then I just had to enter my credit card PIN. That's it. And the payment was accepted, and I was on my way. And the process is really simple to set up. Scan your card, enter information, accept the terms and conditions, verify using SMS or by calling the bank, enter the OTP or the password that you get, and your card is verified. That's it. And you can add more cards also, and then you get a couple of offers from HDFC Bank in terms of 5 times the reward, ICICI Bank. You've got Paytm 100% cashback on movie tickets, obviously up to a certain limit, and then you've got a 20% cashback on SC Bank cards, and then the SBI cards, Axis Bank, just plenty. You can add more credit cards or debit cards, and you can also add Paytm as an option. And to use, it's really simple. Just swipe up, select your card, apply your fingerprint or enter a PIN, and then tap on the machine. That's it. Now, with the Grace UI, there are also a couple of interesting features like device maintenance, which takes care of your, it tells you where your battery is being used, where your storage is being consumed, where all your RAM is being utilized, and whether your phone is secure or not. You can go into battery and you can actually look at battery usage, which apps are really consuming a lot of battery. There are a couple of power saving modes as well, which increases how much your battery is spending by shutting down a couple of features or minimizing them. So mid does all of these things that you can see. Max does a lot of these things. So depending upon what kind of things are being utilized on your smartphone, the phone auto optimizes your battery usage. And there's also an app power monitor, which automatically monitors apps for if in case you're using a lot of battery, and it shuts down the background processes to really save on to battery life. And I've actually seen that happen on the Galaxy C9 Pro. I'm sure that's the same on the A7 as well as the A5. And you can otherwise you'd probably be installing something like the Clean Master, other third-party apps to really optimize your RAM and memory, whereas Samsung has now pre-installed that works better with Samsung phones natively as compared to the third-party apps. Now, you've also got a couple of additional features like the smart stay, so your phone will always remain bright and lit up as long as you're looking at it. It's a pretty old feature that Samsung has, and it's still there on this phone. You've got a lot of other features like the quick launch camera. You've got pop-up view gesture, smart capture. You can just swipe to take a screenshot, and you can press the home button 3 times to reduce the screen size, the effective screen size that is. And it's just a lot easier to use when your other hand is busy or you're eating or something. And then again, you've got direct call. So you just as long as you're on a contact and you lift your phone, it starts dialing to that person automatically. Smart alert, so in case you have any missed call or unread message, the phone vibrates when you pick it up, and a lot more things. Now let's talk about the camera and the camera app. You can double tap the home button to launch the camera quickly from anywhere, and you can keep that turned on or off depending on how you like it. You can tap to focus. You can shift the light bulb slider to increase or decrease the exposure. The camera is quite snappy, as you can see. As long as I'm pressing the button really quickly, it takes all the pictures. You've got multiple filter options. You can reduce or increase the strength of the filter. And you can obviously download more of these if you wanted. You've got a download button on the top right, as you can see right here. And then you do have about 9 of them over here. You can download more filters. And if you swipe right, you would see a lot of these camera modes available. And you've also got hyperlapse, which I think is a great thing. Now, I did take some samples from the camera, and as you can see, even from a macro perspective, it does a decent job. It's not as good as a picture that might have been taken using the Galaxy S7 or the S7 Edge, but again, they're very expensive smartphones, they're flagship devices, so you can't expect that. But they're great for, uploading on Instagram or doing, or on Facebook or Snapchatting for that matter. It's not the best camera out there, but for a 33,000 rupee phone, I think it does a pretty decent job. I also took video footage while I was driving, and I had my friend shoot. This is a full HD video taken at 30 frames per second because that's what the camera offers. Again, it's not as shaky, even while driving on Indian roads. This is fairly a stable video that the camera gave out, and the quality is pretty decent as well. This is a 720p video that you're watching onto YouTube, but this was shot at full HD. And again, if you go into settings, you'd see that there are quite a few options available. The default camera setting is to 12 megapixel, 16 megapixel, and you can take it down to 12 megapixel if you wanted super wide shots, which is what I do actually. And you've got the capability to also shoot 1:1, the Instagram videos by default within the camera itself, which I think is quite an interesting integration or interesting addition. And then you've got some options for the front camera, which again, as you can see, can take full HD videos. And you have a couple of options that you can play around with from a settings standpoint. And you can also configure your volume buttons to either take pictures, take a video, or simply reduce and increase the volume, which is fine. Overall, the Galaxy A7 for its price is a pretty amazing smartphone. I think it looks gorgeous and quite premium for a smartphone that's in the range of about 33,000. Now, while it does look like the Galaxy S7, it does not quite have the camera quality of that smartphone. But that's alright, it's still a pretty decent smartphone, 3GB of RAM, octa-core processing power, massive 3600 mAh battery. The phone would not leave you gasping for more performance. The display is gorgeous while it's massive at the same time, but trust me, you'd get used to this size fairly quickly and wouldn't want to downgrade from this size ever. I definitely recommend buying this phone if you're looking for a smartphone in the same range as this device. Thank you for watching, guys. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section and I'd surely answer them back.